Do you ever have issues with your paper layers or your photos on your scrapbook pages wrinkling up once you adhere them to your project? So sometimes once you've completed a project, you'll see this effect happening, and it's not something you notice straight away, but it tends to happen as the adhesive dries. Now there's a number of reasons for this, and I'm going to run through a couple of solutions for you to prevent this happening on your next project. Now the chances are for this to happen, you're using quite thin paper or cardstock and also a wet glue. Now the paper and cardstock is going to absorb the moisture from the wet glue, but it's also going to warp if the paper isn't thick enough. So in this case, I have got a photo. I would usually be putting this onto a scrapbook page, and as you can see, the warping has happened because this was printed onto a very, very thin paper, not a cardstock and not a photo paper. So to prevent this happening, we can do a couple of things. Now I've got a couple of different photos here. These are on photo paper. If you're not working on a scrapbook page and you're working on a card, for example, you can use just a thicker, stronger, heavier weight cardstock instead. This will eliminate a lot of the issues for you, but the choice of glue and more importantly the application is very important too. So I'm going to apply both these photos with different adhesives and show you the best ways to use them. Now if you do want to use a wet adhesive still, if this is your choice, putting it down in zigzags or a line around, that is going to create this just raised area of glue, and that is where you're going to get the absorption in your cardstock paper or photo, and that area will react differently to the parts of the photo or paper that don't have glue on. So if you want to use a wet glue, I would suggest you take yourself an old mat and you squeeze some out onto the mat. Use a brayer, and you can now spread this glue evenly over the entire surface of the photo paper. I've applied some ink to my brayer also, just so that you can see where I'm placing this. So now I can see I've got a really even and thin layer of adhesive all over the back of my photo. And when I stick this down, I'm going to get absolutely no warping whatsoever, because the whole surface area of this paper or photo is going to be reacting in exactly the same way. Still, if you prefer not to use a wet glue, I would definitely recommend a double-sided tape. You're not going to get any warping with tape. It's a dry adhesive, so it is instantly stuck and you don't need to wait for it to dry either. So just a piece, top, bottom and centre. And if I place that onto my cardstock and smooth that down, again, I'm going to be having no warping whatsoever from either of those applications. So I hope you found this useful for sticking your photos into your scrapbook albums, your journals, or even your layers on your cards. Let me know in the comments if you found a really good adhesive for sticking photos into scrapbook pages too, and I hope to see you again very soon. Take care.